I've made over 100 grand in surplus funds over the past year. And this is my back bedroom too. Okay. Like you don't need a fancy office. Nobody's ever called me out.
All right, guys, what's going on? Hopefully everyone's doing well. Happy Wednesday today as this video comes out. Super excited. In this video, I actually interview a student of ours, David Wilkerson. Shout out to you. He talks about how he's made over 100 grand so far with surplus funds, just following what he learned in Service for Mastery. He tells us about his deals, kind of about his backstory. It's a really interesting interview. It's a really great one. That's why I wanted to post it here on YouTube as well. So if you guys get a chance, watch the end of this video. Hopefully you'll be inspired by it. You'll learn a couple things. Guys, also drop a subscribe and a notification bell. We've been uploading a lot. I want to make sure you guys see that. And, one more thing. For some reason, Zoom recorded this interview a little bit weird, so it kind of flashes every 15 seconds between when David's speaking over to my camera for no reason. I don't know why it does that. Trying to fix that for the next one, but if it bothers you, you can just listen to the audio. There's nothing really showing on screen, so it's us talking. But yeah, so hopefully you enjoy the interview. Here it is. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another interview with the man. I always say the man, the myth, the legend. I got to come up with a new one. This guy is the Shark Tank of Idaho is what I'm going to start calling this guy, because if you look at him, he's got a massive, you said it's 5 feet by 8 feet?
Yeah.
That's massive, and it's custom painted, I think he said as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there we go. You know, we might have to change it from surplus warriors to surplus great whites or something. But anyways, I'm here with David. David, it's a pleasure to speak with you.
Yeah, thank you.
And I think we can kind of just get started kind of a little bit about yourself and kind of where you come from, your background. You mentioned you have a little bit of real estate. So I'd love to hear kind of how you got started in business and real estate specifically.
All right. Well, gosh, where do I start? So I've been in marketing and sales since can't remember, man, since I've been like 14 or 15. So the very first job I ever got or had, it was going door to door, and I was selling oil changes and golf packages in a town called Meridian, Idaho. It's like 15 miles away from me. And the very first week I made $1,400, and I was the number one salesperson. And my manager, he handed me Think and Grow Rich, this check, and he goes, hey, I just want to let you know something. X amount of contacts equals X amount of contracts. X amount of contracts equals X amount of money. He's like, everything is a numbers game. And so all throughout high school and college and almost everything I did, like there was like a funnel or some sort of just X amount of just methodology that went to everything I did,
Right.
you know? And so did that, and I got my real estate license when I was 18, and I was so immature at that time, you know, and I just wasn't the person I needed to be in order to really like start crushing and be taken seriously. And so I got a couple sympathy deals from some friends and family, you know, and I deactivated my license, and I had some friends that were out knocking doors, selling alarms and satellites. And they were trying to get me to drop out of college. And I had my license at the time too. And I remember one of them was like, hey, I bet you after lunch, I can go spot knock 3 houses and get 3 deals and make $5 grand before the sun goes down. I'm like, bullshit, dude, no way. And sure enough, he didn't. So that's all it took. And then I got right back into the door-to-door game again, you know, and I did that for about 7 years. Once I'd gotten to the point where I was in my late 20s, I was kind of like the senior citizen of like the door-to-door game. Because I think you have some experience in that realm too, right?
I do. I've done my fair share of door to door.
Okay. So, you know, it's dominated by 18 to like 21-year-old guys. And so like guys that are in their 30s, you know, you're usually upper management, like checking out like at that point. And I got my real estate license activated again. And I wanted to do something different, you know, like I got so sick and tired of traveling and doing the summer programs and the 2 weeks on, the 2 weeks off, to where I just wanted to give another shot. And I kind of felt bad too that I activated my license way back in the day and I never really did anything big with it, you know? And so I kind of had that fulfillment that I needed to get taken care of as well. And I went and I did an open house right when I got my license, and I met a developer. And the developer was, he was telling me that he's like, hey, look, I like your background. I like what you do. Why don't you go find me some vacant properties and then I'll pay you. And I didn't know anything about wholesaling or anything like that at this point, right? I was just excited. It was some developer. I was a brand new agent. Okay, cool. And I went and I found this guy, a humongous project. I did a handshake deal. It went south and I got screwed over on this deal. Probably lost like 400 grand. And that totally crushed me, dude. And I was so beat up over that. And I was like, I gave myself probably a week. And I was like, you know what? No, this is not going to happen. I'm going to go find a way to beat this asshole at his own game, and that's what kind of launched my career in the investing side, and so I had a real estate license the whole time, but I soon was so excited about finding distressed properties and doing all this and everything with that. And years went by and I was down in Scottsdale at a real estate investor summit at the Clever Summit. And I met Adrian. He's a warrior, absolutely crushes it. And he told me about surplus funds and how it all worked. And it was so crazy because I had done so many creative real estate deals, I was like, how haven't I heard about this before? Why don't I know about mortgage surplus or anything like that? And he was starting to tell me about the money he was making. And I was like, gosh, this is probably something I should look at a little bit more seriously,
And then you brought up something else that was really interesting too, that literally is almost identical to what I went through. So when I first got interested in real estate, I had this red notebook, a little spiral red notebook. Okay. And I wrote the word investments on it in Sharpie. Okay. And I just started consuming everything on YouTube and online I could find. So wholesaling, I had 10 pages on how to wholesale and, subject to deals. I just, everything I could find, I would write down. And I filled up this notebook. And I thought I was the king of real estate. Not that I've ever, done any crazy deals at that point, but I knew a lot, right? So I started going to these events, right? And meetups and clubs. And for years, it was oh, I've heard about that before. I've seen that, just from passing and trying to study everything. And then one day I went to an event and this guy gets on stage and starts talking about surplus funds. I'm like, what the hell is this guy talking about? I'm going through this notebook. I'm like, I can't find anything.
Yeah.
Did I miss something? What's going on? He's talking about giving people money. I'm like, what on earth what is this guy talking about? Is this even real? And I talked to him and, he was a nice guy, but I was just, this is so crazy. So I start researching it online and sure enough, I was like, oh my God, this is a big deal,
Yeah.
But it just goes to show you how just a couple of years ago, I mean, 3, 4, 5 years ago, there really was nothing online surplus fund related. I mean,
it's so crazy just tying that back into not a lot of people know about it. I went out to lunch with one of my real estate agent friends 2 weeks ago. I mean, this guy does $50 million a year in sales. Oh. And I was starting to bring it up to him and he didn't even know. I'm like, how the hell does a guy that makes $1.5 million a year not know this? You should know more about this than I do. Oh. But you know what, you're right too about your information and you have a very special way of creating and presenting your content, Spencer, that makes it really easy to understand. It's 1, 2, 3. There's all these light bulb moments and there aren't very many creators that possess that trait.
I appreciate
you know what I mean? It's super easy to listen to you and just be able to put everything that you say in action really quick. And that's one of the things I really liked about your program too. It's one of the things I probably like the best.
Well, first of all, thank you. I appreciate that. And that kind of leads into kind of where you left off. So you said, hey, look, I met another surplus warrior, Adrian, right, at this event. Yeah. And he started telling me about the surplus fund thing. I'm like, holy crap, what is this? And then was there, I mean, obviously you're a guy that's been through real estate before. So did you just make the decision right then to join? Did you need some time to do some of your own research before you joined Surplus Fund Mastery? Or what was that process like? And I guess once you got into Surplus Fund Mastery, what was the process like of going through it and then kind of starting to do your marketing?
When I saw the program initially, I mean, most programs, I don't buy them right away. And I've bought all sorts of stuff on the internet before, but I want to be able to see a bunch of testimonials and be able to kind of vet it a little bit, And so I wanted to think about your program I think I thought about it for 2 or 3 weeks and then I bought it. And then once I bought it, I was in a crazy time. I don't think I even opened it for a month after first buying it. But I went through and I did everything you said. Another killer thing that you suggest is just having one tab open on the computer. That was another, I was like, that is so key because distractions are everywhere. And just removing them to where when you're out prospecting, your peak prospecting hours, that's it. And so, Yeah, I went through your course and I stopped right after the state fund section. And I was like, okay, I know enough right now to where I want to at least go get the state funds deal and get one of them underneath my belt and then kind of build on that, you know? And so I literally did everything you said. I didn't change anything. I stopped all the program. I went right to the California Department of Unclaimed Funds, got the leads, registered. There was one thing that I didn't do. I kind of did it did it backwards from what you guys suggested. But I had the leads segregated on Google Sheets to where I had the biggest accounts first, and so I just, I mean, I got to go after the big shark deals, dude.
I get it. I understand.
Yeah, so I went. I think I pulled the list of everything from 30,000 on up, and then yeah, I went through it again, and I heard David saying, "Yeah, Wisconsin's a really good state." I was like, "Okay, that's my second state," and boom, and that's what it is too. Like, you know, it's so easy to do to where if you just do exactly what you guys lay out, you're gonna get the result you're looking for, and like to tie it back into being resourceful, like anybody can go and be successful nowadays. Like you can go to the library and get on YouTube and watch videos. And if you're resourceful enough and like driven, you can patch it together or not even go to the library. Everybody has one of these in their pockets. Like with the 3 hours a day of idle screen time that most people have on average, like give me 1/3 of that and go and apply it to a craft. You know, like that's a life-changing skill set that can be applied, like grown and learn real quick.
Did you start with cold calling, or what was your first form of marketing? And then how long did it take you to get that first deal? If you can kind of tell us a story of how that one came about, that'd be great.
Yeah. So my very first deal was a state funds deal, and it was in California. I think it was in San Francisco. And what I did was I took the list, like you said, but I made sure I was calling the fat accounts, you know, and then I took it over to Batch Lead Stacker, and then I uploaded it. I got skip trace, and then I imported it over to Call Tools, right? And then so I just have it on the auto dialer, and so I just started calling in. Got it, like you do, like the amount of calls you suggest every day, and you just put it on a cold call. Whoo, boy, you can really cover some ground. And so the deal was like $27,000, and I took 10% of that. I think that was like fifth contact over like a 2-week period before I went and I sent the notary out.
Interesting. And I know, you know, it's funny. I remember you had posted in the Facebook group, and I think this deal was in Wisconsin, but you posted about a deal you got that was originally going to be one claim for like 10 or 20,000 and then turned into like 90 claims or something crazy like that. I don't know if you remember
100, yeah, 84 accounts that I collected. It was 134,000 to the claimant, and then I made 26.8 on it.
Wow.
And thank gosh that I double checked everything, and that I called them and asked him about his mom, because he didn't even tell me about his mom or his dad or in his own personal accounts. And so when I was verifying everything, I called him up. I go, "Hey, is your mom X?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "You know, you got a whole hell of a lot more money." And, you know, I think what made it a lot easier is, you know, throughout the very first dialogue of me and the claimant, usually, like, I'm very structured, I'm very professional, you know, and so I identify their problems, their pain, everything like that. And so he kept on saying what he wanted to do with the money. He wanted to start a little charity donation business. And so I just kept on cranking on that thing. You know, every single time he said, "Oh no, let's talk there," or like, you know, so
Yeah.
but it was just like any other deal. Just the payout was bigger.
Yeah. Well, and that's what's so funny and interesting about it too is, you know, what you did right there for everyone that's newer to surplus funds or to business is he took the desires of someone and he said, "Listen, I want to help you achieve that desire via the vehicle of recovering your surplus funds." Right. And it's funny because I can't remember who says this. It might even be Tony Robbins. I think it is Tony Robbins that, you know, people make decisions based on one of two things. Are they moving away from pain or they're moving towards desire, right? And that's it. And if you want someone to make the decision to work with you, right? Look, they're either going to be moving towards desire, which is, in this case, recovering their money, which is one of the reasons why surplus funds is a lot easier to sell, because it's a clear desire. But part of that is saying, hey, listen, well, when you get the $100,000, what are you going to do with it? Oh, you want to start a little charity business. You want to start a nonprofit. Oh, that's great. Well, why do you want to do that? well, oh, this would really mean the world to me if I could change this about, my community or whatever. Oh, that's awesome. Well, why is that important? And you start
Yeah.
really digging into the core desire that they have. And then later on the call or next call or whatever it is, and you're trying to finalize the deal, and maybe you get a little resistance. They say, I'm still not 100% sure. You say, look, John Smith, look, you told me that you were serious about starting this thing, and I want to help you do that, right? And I know how important that is, and I just want to keep you accountable for that, right?
Yeah.
And is this something you want to do today, or is this something that you want to put off, year after year after year, and then eventually get to, hopefully? Because haven't you already been doing that, right? And that's more advanced, and that was really poorly worded, but hopefully you guys watching this kind of get the idea. It's like, it's not just about, hey, you have money, take the money. It's like, well, what does that money mean to you, right?
Yeah, totally. Because like what I always think about is I pretend like the person that I'm working with is also getting hit up by a dozen other people. And really too, I think I got that from the off-market real estate world here locally, because it's so damn competitive. It's insane, right? And so I always think like, hey, how do I decommoditize myself, and like become real? And so throughout my follow-up sequences, like I've started to deploy little personalized video messages. I hand send and like with an envelope and all written, a little letter to them. Right as soon as I send, like right after I get a really good gut feeling, even if I know there's going to be multiple contact points, you kind of know like the flow, like, when you got somebody kind of, I guess, and just send those out and just really stay away from the crowd too. Cause like, I think like you want to build rapport with people. But I think rapport can also be looked at from like a credibility standpoint. And like, how do you have like credibility or trust with somebody? Cause like, if I walk into the doctor's office and the guy isn't serious and I was all buddy, bro with me, I'm not going to look at him as somebody that can fix my problem nearly as much as somebody that's going to be like, okay, be more structured from like an interview standpoint, And so like, I think when you put people through that process, they're like, this guy is an expert. He can take care of me. I can be trusted with him.
What would you say if you could talk to someone right now that was in that phase that you were in, that 2 to 3 weeks of hearing about service funds for the first time, but not actually joining the program, and they were kind of like on the fence, should I do it, should I not do it? If you could talk to that person right now, knowing what you know today, what would you say to them?
I'd say pull the trigger. The best decisions you're ever going to make are usually the ones that have the least amount of time. Now, I know that I'm a little bit different when it comes to your program, but a lot of the things, I just say, go for it. Just do it. Because I mean, like, there's so many different ways to finance it. Like, everybody can go get a credit card for $1,000. Like it shouldn't ever be about the money. And not only that too, it's 2 weeks that's going to take you longer to get paid. Because like with your content, the way it's laid out, like it's not that hard to rifle through it all, put 2 and 2 together, and then boom, be able to get a result to where I bet the average person probably has probably 2 weeks from like actual work to boom time frame, huh?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would say go for it and do it, because like you don't need very much in order to have a very, very successful little side business. Because I mean, I just make my phone calls between 9 and noon. Right. And so I still wholesale real estate deals. I still do retail deals. But that little discipline every single day, I made over 100 grand in surplus funds over the past year. And this is my back bedroom too. Okay. Like, you don't need a fancy office, and nobody's ever called me out. I mean, that big one I did over in Wisconsin, I got just after a while, like there's so many little things that you're afraid of that never ever happen, And so, I just say if somebody's on the fence, like, you're probably going to do it anyways. You might as well.
Absolutely. Awesome, man. Well, it's been a pleasure to speak with you.
Yeah.
Was there any last second shout outs you wanted to make, or anyone you wanted to thank, or anything like that?
You know what? Just probably Adrian, just for like talking me into it. And like he was showing me like screenshots. I was in the lobby of this hotel in Scottsdale, and I was like, whoa, this guy's like 10 years younger than me. This is crazy. And like, I remember when I went home, I was like, damn, like I've always been really competitive and kind of looked for the low hanging fruit. And I was like, gosh, like wholesale deals, I got to like fight for these things. Like it's a madhouse shit show. I was like, God, like this sounds like I could convert it way easier. And I wouldn't be asking that person to sell me their property at 50 cents on the dollar. Again, I have no bad feelings, anything. You kind of know what I'm talking about though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're going into a pandemic right now, and like I have my own stimulus package. So that's the way to do it, man. I don't know,
Awesome,
that's
man.
my opinion at least. But yeah, any questions for me? Anything else, dude?
I think that's it, David. I appreciate
Yeah.
your time on this interview. Guys, if you guys enjoyed this, let us know down below. Leave a comment. You can put Spencer and David are awesome, or you could just put David's awesome, Spencer, we're not so sure. Just drop a like, and I'll see everyone on the next video. Thank you very much, David.